Free agency reports are starting to escalate for the Toronto Blue Jays, and it's not just Soto, it's a bunch of other names that we have to be mindful of right now. And still no decision has been made as of yet. We're probably going to have to wait until the weekend or maybe even seep into next week until we have pen to paper. But the rumors are going crazy. The reports that are coming out are even crazier. So welcome in everybody to this Jays Digest live stream. Already 100 people in
Shout
here
out to you guys.
before we even finish the introduction. So that's incredible. Thank you guys so much for all the support that we received. I know that we may be a little bit antsy, we may be a little bit
We're
impatient
getting there.
about. We're getting there. Well, you would like to think that we're getting there, right, Nick? Look, we're trying our best to remain positive, to remain patient throughout this whole process. But at the end of the day, we are fans just like each and every one of you that is in this live stream or that has taken the time to view any one of our videos. So it's not easy for us, but we're doing our best. So thank you guys so much for all the support. It truly means the world to Nick and I.
Yeah, we have a lot to go over today. And I know that I made a video a few hours ago. I'll get your opinion on that. I know you were caught up with work there. But honestly, a pretty big report came out today surrounding Corbin Burns. But we can start with the Juan Soto stuff. And again, as we're streaming, we're at the point now in the offseason where, Peter, I can guarantee you throughout this live stream that'll probably go around, 30 or so minutes here. There's going to be more and more news coming out surrounding Juan Soto. We can kind of do a roundtable of the news that came out today and kind of go over some things. So if you missed our video from earlier today, we tend to have a video in the morning going over the latest Juan Soto news. You can check that out. We know that Jeff Passan said all teams are still involved. They've all had offers on the table. Now, John Heyman came out a couple of hours ago and said the Yankees, Mets, Dodgers, Red Sox, and Jays remain in on the Derby and don't assume anyone's a heavy favorite. He is said to be very patient in his selection process, quote, like his at-bats, but his decision is believed to be within days. So I do think it probably happens. My prediction was today. My updated prediction is now Sunday night, maybe into Monday morning here, but every team is still in, and no team at this point, according to John Heyman, who is a Scott Boras mouthpiece, keep that in mind, is presumed a heavy favorite, Peter. So there's still an opportunity. We'll be talking about other options as well. It's not going to be all Juan Soto, but I will keep things open. I'll keep my Twitter open personally in case new news comes out. But Peter, how are you feeling on the Juan Soto front right now? There has been some new reports today coming out as well that the offers are going to exceed $700 million, all the way up to 16 years, $750 million is what Jeff Passan, I believe, came out and said. So the price is going up. He's going to surpass Shohei Ohtani's contract. And in the meantime, the Jays are still linked to the superstar.
Yeah, it's craziness. It's absolute craziness, and you guys are eating all of this stuff up. So we're not going to stop here when it comes to the Soto stuff. But yeah, Nick, it's getting crazier by the day, and I hope for our sake that he does sign on the weekend, so we can be alert and be at our computers, so we can get things out in a timely fashion, especially for you guys to digest all of that news. But yeah, a lot of stuff has been going around. We've been hearing conflicting reports from John Heyman, from Mark Feinsand, from Jeff Passan. Like I tend to believe Heyman and Passan more than I do any other reporter in Major League Baseball. So everything that you've been hearing up to date that Soto has signed with the Red Sox or signed with the Yankees or signed with the Mets, we pretty much heard it all. He's signed with pretty much every team at this point in the offseason except for the Oakland A's, who, by the way, spent a crap ton of money by their standards today, signing a target that we had in mind, Nick, Luis Severino. So that's something that we could discuss later on. But yeah, he's going to get paid a lot of money. I think the contract is going to end up starting with the seven just because of all the teams that are interested this late on into the process. And I'm wondering how far the Jays are going to be willing to go in these sweepstakes.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit wild now. And again, reports are coming out that the Yankees were going to have the final say and that they were going to go to the Yankees for the final contract and final say. And guess what? We have a super chat from Ben's Pitching Clips. Jays want a good eye, power bat, Dos Años, Manny Grandal, and call it an offseason. Thank you so much, Ben, for the donation. Obviously that
Thank
won't
you, Ben.
happen, but it's. I think they're going to strive
It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me at this point. It wouldn't.
or the equivalent of that. But I do want to clear up something. Thank you again, Ben, for the five. Reports are coming out today that the Yankees are going to have the final say in any contract and they'd have the ability to match. John Heyman just came out and said that isn't the case. So for anybody out there, maybe Yankees fans or anyone who's optimistic in this, if you're a Yankees guy, the Yankees aren't going to have the final chance to match. He's just going to go with whoever he goes with. So that's a good thing in the Jays' eyes. And things have been a bit quiet in the Blue Jays front. However, they haven't been ruled out yet. And very patient, all these different things. We know the offers are exceeding a lot of money. You can see this here. Ends in a decision next week. But this also came out from Michael or John Heyman as well. Yankees don't have the last say in Soto talks, and that the Marks report was taken out of context. Said Soto will sign by Sunday and latest by Monday. And clarification, so you can see this here at the bottom. If Heyman were to bet extreme wealth on a team to sign, Soto would be the pick for the Jays or Dodgers. He then said right after he would pick the Yankees. So clarification, his betting odds would be on the Jays or Dodgers, which is interesting. But if you were to pick a gut, it would be the Yankees. I don't know about the Dodgers being fully still in on this. I mean, they are clearly, but Heyman has always been a bit of a Blue Jays truther throughout this whole Juan Soto sweepstakes, which is a bit hilarious given what he used to say last offseason about Canada and the things like that. He's changed his tune a little bit, maybe to get on the good side of the fans.
Yeah, and the way I see it with the Los Angeles Dodgers in this entire thing is that I feel like they have a number that they're going to stick to, and if it surpasses that number, then so be it. They don't need Juan Soto. All of the other teams that are involved in the sweepstakes need a player of that caliber or a combination of players to make up some sort of ground here in the standings. The Dodgers won the World Series fairly easily, and they just added Blake Snell, and they're going to get Shohei Ohtani back in their rotation as well. So I don't think this is a team that is starving for offensive talent. But I look at teams like the Red Sox.
Blue Jays.
They're headed in the right. Yes, the Blue Jays obviously, but we know this. We know this already. The Red Sox, the Yankees, the Mets. I feel like he pushes the Mets over the top. He makes them a World Series contender. I feel like he pushes the Yankees back into contention again, and they're the favorites again in the American League. And then from the Boston perspective, with their farm system, like you've mentioned several times, Nick, that's a pretty scary combination. So a lot of these teams are going to be trying to go tooth and nail and get him at whatever cost that it'll be. But the Dodgers, I just don't see them being in that same mindset because they simply don't have to.
Yeah, and the Dodgers, I think, are a bit of a. I mean, I don't want to say the odd team out. They can strike at any point, but I don't know if they have the same urgency as some of the other teams here. But at the end of the day, as the Jays, it's lead every team has made an offer, 600 million, competitive, offers, 700 million, perhaps even approach something closer to 800, which is ridiculous to me. I mean, if the Jays offered 16 years, 800 million, I would lose my mind.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
But the price is ultimately going up every single day. Bids are happening. Toronto is widely believed to be the most aggressive financially. So as we wait for this, I mean, it's getting crazier and crazier by the minute. You look at the reports, and again, I don't think anything is imminent in his signing right now. I think it's going to be at least Sunday, is my guess. Sunday into Monday. I don't think it goes past Monday, but it's scary here, and it's a bit I don't know. I'm at peace with kind of where we are in the situation. I think whether or not they land Soto, I'm fine. I'm hoping he doesn't go to the AL East unless it is the Blue Jays, but there's some other targets as well. And also, if you're in here, hit the like button. Let's try to get to 50 likes. We're at 31, over 240 of you. So shout out to everybody in here. Hit that like button. Let's try to get to 50. But Peter, we'll come back to the Soto stuff here in a moment as well. Corbin Burnes, I don't have the exact screenshot here, but Corbin Burnes is, the Jays met with him in person over the weekend, I believe it was, or some point this week. And I had a video on it. Of course, you weren't able to tune in. What are your thoughts on that in the chat? Type in yes or no. Or you can, whatever you want to do. Do you guys want Corbin Burnes on a, say, 7-year, 211, I believe was the projection? So would you want Corbin Burnes, yes or no, in the chat, 7 years, 211? And Peter, I'll ask you this as well, because I obviously had the video on it today, but they met with him in person, which is actually a pretty big development.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I was not expecting that to happen. We've been going over some pitching targets this entire offseason, and Corbin Burnes has not once crossed my mind. There's no doubt that he is the best available talent on the starting pitching market. But I just didn't think the Jays would be involved in those sweepstakes. Now, to me, does that signify that maybe they're starting to shift their focus in another direction? Maybe they're trying to think of a plan B here, and that's a pretty damn good plan B if you ask me. Corbin Burns, who is a Cy Young contender every single year that he's healthy, but yeah, it depends though, because I want him. Yes, yes, sign me up. But Nick, we've been hearing 38 million. 38 million, that is the sweet spot where the Blue Jays want to be. I don't know what the math comes out to, 7 years, 211. I believe that's $30 million a
A
season.
lot.
I th
I'll check
that's
for you right
30,
now.
I think it's $30 million a season. So there
Yep.
goes 30 out of $38 million. Does your budget change if you get Corbin Burns?
And
Does that apply if you get Corbin Burns? Are you going to be able to spend elsewhere? That's my only concern. I don't think they need a pitcher of that caliber. They need someone that could eat innings. Obviously, Max Fried would be great too, which would come in at a slightly lower price tag, in my opinion. But I don't think they need a pitcher of that caliber. I think that money, if they're not able to go over that budget that they've established, is better spent addressing their offensive issues and their bullpen issues as well.
yeah, I don't understand fully the whole, I guess, notion of they're willing to spend 700, 800 on Soto, but not on a combination of players that get you to Soto's level. I understood it for the Shohei Ohtani situation because obviously he provides a lot more marketing, international viewership, all those things. When you're talking about Soto, if you can get a guy like Corbin Burns, and again, you mentioned, let's round it up to 40 million for sake of argument here. That leaves you with $10 million after Corbin Burns, which isn't enough. The
No.
only world where I think if they get Corbin Burns, you'd have to assume that they're going to go over their budget and just say, okay, this is our chance. I think that's probably their mindset. If they're able to lure Corbin Burns to Toronto for that price, they'll say, okay, screw it. More, not 700 million, but more of a Soto situation, or maybe they spend another 150 million. I think that's probably their plan. Or they don't think they can land any of the big hitters in the free agency market. So they're going to go for a guy like Burns, who at least you get one of the big fish. They're still going to add similar amounts of WAR, albeit in different places. And then they go for some of the budget hitters. Maybe a guy like Max Kepler, maybe a guy like Tyler O'Neill is still going to run you about 40 million over however many years, but someone who won't really stretch out that budget. So I think it's one of the two. Either they're going to
Yeah.
go all in, and if they get Burns, or they're going to go for Burns. That's their big acquisition, and then they go for the budget guys. But 10 million again is not a lot for bullpen and outfield and third
No.
base. So
No, no, no.
alternatively, a trade as well could be in the air, and people are looking to get traded. And one name that comes to mind is obviously Nolan Arenado, but the market that's heating up, according to a report today, is also Cody Bellinger, which is something that is intriguing as well when it comes to not having to spend all the money. Of course, money going in and out.
Well, let's take a look at some of the numbers from the past couple of seasons when the Blue Jays have been competitive. They draw crowds upwards of 1.4 million over the course of an entire season. They were nowhere near that this year. Okay, so uh, I think if you put a competitive ball club on the field, you are going to recoup a lot of that money that you spent, and you're in tune going to be able to pay off that tax threshold that you're surpassing. The Jays have never had a megastar like Juan Soto, at least not in the past decade or so. So I look at that and say you don't need a megastar in order to have a profitable ball club. And what I'm saying is that if you get back in the playoff race, if you add Corbin Burns, Anthony Santander, and a third baseman, for the sake of argument, a mid-tier third baseman, I think you get yourself back in the playoff picture, and you're going to make money. You're going to be a profitable club, and your revenue is going to reflect that. Your attendance is going to reflect that. So I don't think you need a megastar to warrant or to justify spending that amount of money. I'm not saying spend $700 million on a slew of free agents, but give yourself maybe 350 or 400, maybe even 500 at the very most, and I think you're going to reap the benefits.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of ways to go around this. Also, thank you guys for letting us hit 50 likes. Shout out to the almost 300 of you in here. Crazy, crazy stream so far. But it's interesting. Burns, Adames, and Santander O'Neill is a fantastic offseason. I would agree. I think if you go out and you get a guy like Burns, you still have a lot of issues to address. But let's also not kid ourselves here. He is the best starting pitcher available, and he's one of the best
Yes.
starting pitchers in baseball. So if you can go out and get your version of a star in that way, does it solve all your problems? No, they desperately need hitting. And another guy's name I'm seeing thrown around, we'll probably have to do a video on it once the Soto stuff, finishes, is Josh Naylor, which would be a very interesting guy as well, albeit a first baseman. But like, there's a lot of guys that you can make work. If you're asking for the source on the Corbin Burns situation, it was John Morosi. It was John Morosi, which
Nick, I want to get to a comment here from Courtesy Flush. They're saying Texas won without Soto. We don't need him. Now, what Texas did do,
they
they
spent a ton
spent
of money.
$500 million in that offseason. They got Corey Seager,
Simeon.
they got Marcus Simeon, they also got Jacob deGrom, who ultimately didn't really play. He didn't play any role whatsoever in getting them a World Series championship. But yeah, sure, they didn't spend $700 million on one player. They spent around that same amount of money on three different players. So that's the point I'm trying to make here. They got to a World Series without a quote unquote superstar player. Now, whether you want to consider Corey Seager a superstar player or not, that's up to you. He obviously had a great season the year that they won the World Series just a season ago. But my point that I'm trying to make here is that sure, you don't have to spend it all on one player, but you still have to spend money if you want to get back to the playoffs. You can't just go into the season with a couple of minor additions and then expect to be back in the playoffs. It's just not realistic, in my opinion. So sure, don't spend 700 million on Soto, but give yourself an adequate enough budget to fill the holes that need to be filled in order to get back to the promised land.
And it's an interesting comparison to where the Jays are now. Obviously, it's nowhere near a direct comparison with the Rangers were prior to that
I
offseason.
think I think it
But
is though, Nick,
no,
because
I
they
agree.
had a horrible season the year before, and then they said, "Eff it, we're spending a ton of money this offseason. I don't care what it
Let
takes.
me
We're gonna
rephrase.
get back."
I think it's a very good comparison. I'm not entirely sure the Jays are going to do it. And I also, it's an interesting in the sense of they have Vladdy, so they have a very amazing, already MVP caliber player on the team. The Rangers, yeah, pretty similar. Like, they were bad the year before, coming off a really bad season. They go out, they get two of the top free agents on the market in Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon, and they go out and Jacob deGrom, but he obviously didn't help too much to winning the World Series. And then they go out and win. So if you're the Jays, you can look at that and say, let's say you get your equivalent of, I mean, there's no two position player equivalents, which is kind of the rough part here. At least that the Jays would get. But Corbin Burns and then one of the big guys and whoever you want, like even an Anthony Santander would be a half similar comparison there. Like, there's no reason that, and baseball is an interesting way. If you make the playoffs, you have a chance to win. We saw it with the Diamondbacks. You see it with the Phillies. You see it with the Rangers. And the Rangers, the reason they got these guys, yeah, Texas is like a fairly desirable place to play, but it's no Yankees, it's no Mets. It's because they paid the most money and they gave
They
them a
overspent.
ton of money. And if the Jays are in a spot to do that, Seager didn't join the Rangers and Semien didn't join the Rangers because they had a powerhouse team and their future was looking great. Their future wasn't looking super amazing. They go out and they spent the money and they got the guys and they won a World Series because of it. And I mean, the Jays have all that money. Ben, thank you for the $2. Brandon Belt. Hilarious.
Yeah, the Brandon Belt. Sure.
Wasn't a bad signing, actually, which is kind of
No,
funny.
it wasn't, but didn't help too much in the playoffs. So, albeit in fairness to him, no one really showed up on the offensive side for the Blue Jays in that minuscule playoff run. I wouldn't even call it a playoff run, a playoff appearance that they had.
Playoff weekend.
Yeah, just extra regular season games, it felt like, against the Minnesota Twins. But let's not revisit that. If you do want to revisit that, we actually had a 20-minute rant video at the end of game two where John Schneider or whoever the hell it was decided to pull José Berríos after 3 innings. Three no-hit
Don't
innings,
remind
three
me.
perfect innings. Yeah, dude, terrible. That was I think that was rock bottom. That was rock bottom, and that is where the
Alongside the
tides
Otani stuff.
the tides started to shift in the wrong direction for the Toronto Blue Jays when all of that garbage went down. But yeah, our point stands here, Nick, that in order to be competitive, you have to spend money. And we see the occasional outlier, like the Tampa Bay Rays make the World Series in the COVID shortened season, like the Arizona Diamondbacks, who were a wild card 84 win team, and then decided to just turn into the greatest show on turf in the postseason. We see that happen every now and then, but it's not a sustainable model for being a consistent winner at the big league level. And we look at the teams that are constantly playing deep into October. It's the Astros, it's the Yankees, it's the Dodgers, it's the Phillies. And what do those teams have in common? They spend a crap ton of money and they don't care about the ramifications and they don't care about being handcuffed with terrible contracts.
Whoa. Oh well, Peter, I just kind of got you out of here. Hey guys, we're back.
There you go. What's going on there, man? What's
I,
going on
I
there?
misclicked. I misclicked. I misclicked. I agree with you. And one thing I also okay, we'll answer some questions from Limousine here. Shout out Limousine. What's your opinion on Luis Torres, Nick and Peter? If you don't know who he is, search it up. He's been very good and will surprise you. Luis Torres rings a bell, but I thought you were gonna say Luis Severino, which we can get into as well. I mean, Luis Torres is I recognize.
Torrens? Is it Torrens? Luis Torrens?
Oh, he's talking about the guy with the Blue Jays. I got it. Yeah, the Florida Complex League pitcher. Interesting.
Oh.
I haven't done too much research on him, to be honest. I'm pretty locked in on how this team is gonna produce soon. He's 19. Looks like he's good. The Jays do have some young pitching prospects. Sorry, in the pipeline there. And I also want to scroll up and read a comment from Shane. What's up, Shane? Hope you're doing well. As fans, we shouldn't care about if our team is profitable, only about winning championships. Jays profited $550 million last year. They could double payroll, pay the luxury tax, and still profit. Yeah, I mean, they could. But at the same time, we know that they care somewhat about, I mean, they have to profit. I think at this point, I just want the Jays to go out and do something. They need to do something.
Yeah, and I don't understand spending $300 million on renovations and then spending a fraction of that on your ball club. If you want people to fill those nice new seats that you implemented into the Rogers Center, you'd think you'd spend a little bit more on the club, no? So I think you're better off spending and not really caring about the ramifications going forward and trying to field a competitive ball club, especially with the free agencies of Bo and Vladdy looming over here. So I don't understand the reservations. I get that you got to operate within a budget, but you tried that last offseason and things went sideways quickly. So the Blue Jays have always had a high payroll. They've always been one of the top spenders. I think they can do more of that. I think they can over exceed some of their budgetary constraints and be able to put the best possible product on the field. You're not a small market. You're not a small market whatsoever. So stop acting like it. Overspend if you have to, and you're probably going to have to if you want to get some of the big fish in free agency this year.
Yeah. And ultimately, I think they will get one of the big fish. I'm not sure what fish we're talking about. Could be Burns. It could be, I mean, there's a chance it's Juan Soto. Also, if you're new here, we produce Daily Jays content, so hit the subscribe button. Over 330 of you in here, so it's one of our biggest streams in a while. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. But changing notes and speaking about some of the big free agents, we saw reports come out about Alex Bregman and saw someone comment here. Report came out that Houston offered Bregman 6 years, 156, and he declined. He's looking for, I think, more like 6 years, 200-ish million. Asking the chat and asking you, Peter, what are your thoughts on an Alex Bregman type signing? We've covered it on the channel, but as things are starting to come to fruition now, like if they get a guy like Corbin Burns and they want to say they want to go all in, I mean, again, this is probably, wishful, dreamful thinking. Corbin Burns, Alex Bregman, I wouldn't mind. Give me a couple of veteran guys. I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, and another thing here is that if you don't get Soto, it can't just be one of the big fish. I think you have to get multiple guys in order to be competitive again. Because, okay, you don't get Soto, then you spend all of your budget on Corbin Burns. I don't think your team really took that big of a step forward. The offense stays the same. The bullpen got worse than it was a year ago, so I don't I don't know, man. I don't know. Like I can't see them being that much better by just spending $200 million on one guy and then doing some patchwork with the rest of the roster. It has to be more than that, which is why I'm worried about this whole budgetary thing because it's not enough. $38 million is not enough for the amount of work that the Blue Jays need to do this offseason. And I know that that all goes out the window if Soto signs, but the chances are that you're not going to get him from everything that we've been hearing. So the plan B cannot just be one player. It has to be a collection of guys. And even if you get Soto, it has to be a collection of guys, in my opinion, because he's only filling one hole or two holes at the most.
Yeah. Yeah, they need at least two. So no Soto, Burns, and someone else is going to give you some power. They also desperately, like we've been saying on the stream a couple weeks ago, the first one of the offseason, they need power hitting. They need a bunch of different things. John, thank you for becoming a base hit member. You got access to a bunch of emotes, the little logo next to your name. So thank you. We'll be adding more emotes throughout the regular season and throughout the offseason as well. And there was also a report, thanks again, John, about Ken Rosenthal saying the Jays are making a final strong push to get Juan Soto. Ken Rosenthal has had a bit of a disaster offseason. He's really been going for the Blue Jays' throat here. But Plan B should be a rebuild. Whether or not you agree or I agree with that, it's just not going to happen. So that's why I don't really talk about it too much. Like, we know for a fact there's no world they're going to rebuild this offseason at least. They're not going to tear anything down. No. They're going to try to win this season. It's Atkins and Shapiro on the last years of the deal. And even John Schneider, for that matter, really needs to have a good year. There's just no world where they rebuild. Is it the right move if they don't get Soto? You could certainly make that argument, and I wouldn't be quick to disagree. But it's not going to happen this offseason. So there's just no way.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. And we're going to wrap up fairly soon. But thank you so much for all the support that we've gotten here, guys. Almost 350 of you in here. That's insane, Nick. That's pretty insane. So all of you guys are pretty locked in on this. We're all waiting for that big bombshell to be dropped here. But Nick, exciting stuff, man. Really exciting stuff. And I I understand what Shane is saying, and it scares me to a certain degree because I don't think I'm ready for another rebuild here. We just kind of got out of that 5 years ago or so, and it would be a colossal failure to not even have a single playoff win with a guy who was touted as a generational talent.
And they don't have a Vladdy or Bo in the system now either. So
no, they don't. You don't. And those were the last successful prospects that the Blue Jays had. And you could argue Alek Manoah to a certain degree as well. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be real eager to tear this whole thing down. Maybe the year after, next year, but not this offseason for sure.
Yeah, I think it's going to get very interesting very quickly. And ultimately, we will keep you up to date. Almost 400 of you in here. So thank you so much for that. And hit the like button as well. We're 25 away from 100, but on your way out, if you hit that like button. Any final questions from the chat? We'll be going live again very soon. A bit of a fairly shorter one. But at the end of the day, news is happening. We'll have a video for you all again like usual. But any final questions in the chat before we wrap up here, Peter? Any final thoughts? Things are going to get crazy. It's going to get crazy fast, and as we continue to await the big move, all we can do is keep seeing these new reports, and hopefully we hear some more firm things. But one thing I will note, the Jays have been awfully, awfully quiet this offseason, and whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm leaning towards the fact that it's actually a decent thing. Things are mysteriously quiet. We're seeing other teams leak deals. We're seeing things like that, but the Jays, on the other hand, are staying locked in.
Tacos or burritos? I'm gonna go with burritos. Shout out to Sean for that question.
What
about you, Nick?
Well.
Tacos. Interesting. Hard shell, soft shell?
Soft. I'm gonna go soft.
Soft.
Actually, no, definitely.
So it's basically burrito. Then.
Yeah.
It's an open burrito.
Both. I like both.
Okay. I won't say no to any.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
Tacos, burritos.
Actually, probably burritos. I think if I had to pick one to live by, Colin's Real or Fake News, fully real news shade, for the next stream, I mean, it depends because the Soto stuff could happen at any time. But
I tried, Shane. I tried.
it's
I
on
tried to
me.
get
I'll
this
take it.
thing.
Is on me. Don't blame Peter. It's fully it is fully on me. We're 13 likes away from 100. So if you're in here, hit the like button. We're about to wrap up. Also hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers. You've heard a subscriber with that. I'll there you go. Getting us. I'm assuming the burrito
Hot
one.
dogs. Hot dogs are not a sandwich, in my opinion. By the way.
In case favorite wing sauce, honey garlic.
Uh, Buffalo.
That's not a bad answer. All right.
Honey
Well,
garlic.
we'll have a video for you all tomorrow. We'll have a stream for you guys coming soon with all the latest news, like usual. It's been a great one. One of the better, probably the best stream we've had since the Ohtani stuff last, way back, about a year ago.
Yeah.
So, we'll again, we're going to be going live at least once a week for the rest of the offseason. Probably more than that during the Soto stuff. And as it clues up, it will be very, very interesting.
Oh, one thing before we go out here. Who's winning the football game tonight? Lions or Packers? Who do you got, Nick?
I have the Lions.
Lions? I'm gonna go with the Packers. I think the
And I
Lions
want to
are
ask
due.
one final question as well, not football related, but put your football one in there. Peter, I want to ask you this. When do you think is the day that Juan Soto signs? That is the question. I want to see if we can get it. Yes, Shane,
I'll
maybe
go with
more,
you.
maybe sooner than
Sunday,
next week.
Sunday. I'm gonna go with your answer. Sunday.
I think Sunday's the way, or late Sunday night. It could also be late Sunday. Well, maybe technically Monday. So what day do you guys think? Lions, Packers, Sunday, football Sunday. Going to interrupt our football watching with a Juan Soto signing it.
Yeah. Maybe I hope he doesn't sign on Sunday then.
Saturday. Interesting.
Okay, I'll take I'll take a little.
That would be
Saturday
ideal, I
passing
think, for
bomb,
everybody.
Sean, I'll take that. I'll take that. Let's
Monday,
go.
11th of December. Damn,
I'm gonna go. I hope it happens this weekend.
has to, right?
So I can not have to worry about finding my way out of work to be there. But yeah,
We never know when he will sign Monday. Report will come out Sunday. I don't hate that idea. I think most of us are in agreement here. Late Sunday night. I feel like that's when it's going to happen. I can just feel it. I don't know what time I do. We're also 3 likes away from 100. If you can hit that quickly. I think Ohtani signed on a Sunday. Right? I remember. Maybe I'm wrong. Does anyone remember the day? It was around 7-ish my time, I think, because we went live around there, 6:45. I was eating dinner, Peter, and I remember texting you. Ben, he'll go back to New York, and that's crazy. What are your thoughts? Do you think it's going to be what time? When did Ohtani sign last season?
I don't know. I don't even want to remember.
I want to see for the
Thank you, Katie. Appreciate it.
December 11th, I think. December 11th was the day that he signed. Now, I don't know if that was 2023, right?
Thursday the 9th, said Eric Shepard.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Sunday? I thought it was a Sunday. I thought it was the 11th. Either way.
I thought it was a Sunday. I thought
The
it was
9th and his decision will come in the Ohtani sign. Okay, so it was the 9th. It was, because we had the big stream on the 8th. We had the big stream on the 8th.
I mean, I guess I was home because I probably
I think it was a Saturday then.
The 9th?
That would have been 2024, right? Or 2023. That would have been 2023, sorry.
3.
Saturday. Makes sense. It was a Saturday. It was Saturday, December 9th.
Eric, come on, man. Come on, man. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Have a great one. Video coming for you guys very, very obviously tomorrow, and we'll keep you up to date with all the Soto news. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button on the way out, and we will see you all in a video tomorrow, like usual. And we'll have a stream. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. And hopefully, Peter, by one of these streams and the next one, we'll see Soto in a Jays jersey.
Hope so.
Okay, take it easy, everybody.